Okay, so what if I told you that there's an iron structure in India, it's 1600 years old, and it just won't rust? It sounds like science fiction, right? Well, today we're going to dive into the incredible civilization that made it possible. We're talking about the Gupta Empire, what many call India's golden age. So our story actually starts right here in modern-day Delhi. Imagine you're standing in Raholi, looking up at this absolutely incredible monument. This is the famous Iron Pillar. You've got this ancient structure right in the middle of a bustling city. And believe me, it holds one fascinating secret. And this is where it gets wild. The pillar is over 1600 years old. It's made of iron. It's been out in the open dealing with rain and pollution for centuries. And yet, there's not a spot of rust. Seriously, how is that even possible? Just let that number sink in for a second. 1600 years. I mean, think about what happens to your bike if you leave it out in the rain for what, a few months? This pillar has stood here through centuries of monsoons and heat, and it looks pretty much the same. That's not luck. That's a sign of some seriously advanced knowledge. All right, so to really get our heads around this, we need to take a closer look at this rustless wonder. I mean, the scale of this thing is just staggering. We're talking about a 6-ton pillar that's beaten corrosion for more than 1,000 years. Now, scientists have looked into this, and they think it's because of this unique, super thin protective layer that formed on the surface. It's something called misoite, and it's there because the iron that used had a high phosphorus content. The key takeaway? This wasn't some happy accident. This was a masterpiece of ancient metallurgy. Which, of course, brings up the big question, who on earth could have created something so advanced, so long ago? Well, it's time to pull back the curtain and meet the empire behind the pillar. You know, the answer has been hiding in plain sight this whole time, right on the pillar itself. There are inscriptions that talk about a powerful king named Chandra, and historians are pretty sure this is none other than Chandragupta II from the Gupta dynasty. So this tells us the pillar isn't just some cool science project. It's a victory monument. It's a symbol of a great king's power. So who exactly were the Guptas? Well, they came onto the scene around the 3rd century CE. They built this huge empire with their capital at Pataliputra, which is near modern-day Patna. And as you can see from this map, their influence was massive, spreading across a huge part of the Indian subcontinent. You know, an empire is only as strong as its leaders. And let me tell you, the Guptas had some truly remarkable rulers. So let's meet the great Gupta kings who actually built this incredible legacy. Okay, let's start at the beginning with the founder, Chandragupta I. And this coin, this is just brilliant. It perfectly shows how he built his power. See, this isn't just money, it's basically a political billboard. It shows him with his queen, Kumara Devi, who came from a really powerful neighboring clan. Marriages like this were smart, strategic alliances, and with moves like that, he laid the foundation for a strong, stable empire. All right, so what happens next? Let's jump to the next generation, because the story just keeps getting better. What you're looking at here is the Priyanga Prashasti. It's a huge pillar inscription all about Chandragupta I's son, Samudragupta. His court poet wrote it, and it's basically a giant stone resume listing all of his incredible military victories and achievements for everyone to see forever. And this quote, taken right from that inscription, it really gives you a window into the guy's mind. His ambition was to achieve Dharini Bandha, which means to unify the earth. Whoa. So this wasn't just about grabbing more land. It was about bringing this huge, diverse continent under one single unified rule. This guy was a true warrior king, no doubt about it. But here's the thing. The Gupta era wasn't all about battles and conquest. All that stability and wealth the empire created, it fueled an absolute explosion of culture, science, and art. It was truly an age of tireless creativity. This quote from Kalidasa, who was one of the greatest poets and playwrights of the time, just perfectly sums up the spirit of the age. It is wisdom and knowledge that truly strengthen a kingdom. And this wasn't just talk. This focus on knowledge went way beyond literature. You had brilliant minds like the astronomer and mathematician Aryabhata. This is the guy who calculated the value of pi and figured out that the Earth rotates on its axis. It was a time when wisdom was truly the bedrock of the kingdom. And if you want to see this creative spirit in action, just look at the Ajanta caves. These places are breathtaking. There are these magnificent caves cut right out of the rock, and they're filled with paintings and sculptures that are, hands down, some of the best examples of ancient Indian art you'll ever see. Places like this, and the Udayberry caves too, they're like a vivid, stunning window straight into the life and beliefs of the time. So all this brings us back to a question. Why do people call the Gupta period India's classical age? Well, this is why. You have this incredible moment in time when art, like what we see in Ajanta, literature from poets like Kalidasa, and science from thinkers like Aryabhatta, all of it hits a peak. They set a standard that would influence India for centuries. It was a true, spectacular flourishing of civilization. Okay, so what does this all add up to? What's the lasting impact here? Let's wrap things up by looking at the legacy of this incredible golden age. The legacy the Guptas left behind is just immense. I mean, you start with these powerful rulers who unified huge parts of India. That stability they created allowed for this unprecedented flourishing of arts and culture. And in that environment, you get this explosion of advanced scientific knowledge, especially in things like metallurgy, as we saw with the pillar. All of this together created a foundation, a blueprint for future Indian civilization. And that brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? The Iron Pillar. When we first looked at it, it was this cool scientific mystery. But now we can see it for what it really is. It's a symbol of the entire Gupta era, all wrapped up in one object. It represents the political power of a great king, the incredible scientific innovation of his people, and a story of victory, written in metal, that has literally outlasted the empire that built it. When you really think about it, the legacy of the Guptas is just woven into the very fabric of Indian art, science, and history. They left behind these wonders that have stood the test of time. And that just leaves us with one really exciting question, doesn't it? What other secrets from this golden age are still out there just waiting to be discovered?